Inspiring images. Transcendent themes. Art that springs from trash. David Jacobs is an artist who finds refuge in refuse. He wanders through vacant lots, snapping pictures of discarded items, and then reconstructs his photos into ethereal imagery. It's a natural extension of his childhood in Florida.
In the early 60s, we lived in a place called Coconut Grove, and it was a very bohemian, artistic community. I say I was raised by a coven of beatniks. It was really interesting, a lot of music, a lot of art. It was a good way to start off.
Growing up in his creative surroundings, David found his own ways to express himself through drawing and his own brand of sculpting.
From a very early age, I was always finding old things. I always thought old things were neat. I would take it home. My parents thought I was crazy, and I would make things out of it. Took art classes in school. I had an art scholarship when I graduated high school, but I didn't use it. I saw so many artists that were starving. I decided I needed a real job, but I got into designing stone, fireplaces, brickwork, tile work. I spent the last 20 years as a tile contractor, designing bathrooms, remodeling, that type of thing. So I was always using my hands. And I always had a saying when I did my work, which was, make it look like it grew there, not like it was through there, like somebody just threw it. So kind of put everything together, make it fit, make it look like it belongs.
David began experiencing health problems, which affected his muscles and ability to do strenuous activity. Eventually, he was no longer able to work.
I'd spent a lot of time in bed, and I just couldn't take it anymore, so I got out of bed, and I had an old typewriter, and I just took it apart and made something out of it. And I would sit on the floor, and then as things progressed, I started to spend more time using my hands when I could, and it's been a blessing that I was able to do something constructive, and it's really been good therapy.
David's wife accepted a job at Sacred Heart Medical Center, so the Jacobs moved to Spokane.
So many unique things here, and people here in Spokane, I can tell from the things that I work with, they're very ingenious. They'll take something and make it themselves rather than buy it. I've seen handmade bandsaws, lots of machinery and things like that that are made by hand.
David also loves to get into the act of making things by hand. He finds interesting pieces of junk and brings them to his shop, where he transforms them into works of art.
I like working with materials that I find. And then lately I got into, I would take pictures of things. Say I found some material that I couldn't have, and I would take photographs of these things and use those, take them apart and put them back together again too. So I find the old things, I go searching for interesting things to photograph, and I go from there. Sometimes it's an oily puddle, sometimes it's something on the train tracks, sometimes it could be a mark on a building, on a wall. Usually it's natural things. I've developed a process over the last probably year where I'm taking photographs and then going deep into the photographs and taking pieces out and then reconfiguring them to something else, and it's really turned out interesting. I have a theory about it. I don't know if it's my theory, that there's a lot of energy in things, and especially when I take pictures of natural things, trees or stumps or ice or snow, just has a lot of character. And when you go into these pictures, you see all the elements of design. Sometimes it's pretty startling what you find in there in a photograph. And I take that and kind of exploit it. So I call it extracted art, where I extract pieces out of the photographs and use them to make new ones. Sometimes they can take as long as 5 minutes to do. Sometimes they can take hours. But I try different techniques to change up. I don't want them all to look the same. So once I've done one in a certain way, I have to search for something else to get a different design. I always pressure myself. I don't want to do something that looks like this or something that in style of something else. I really try hard to do something unique, and that takes more time and effort, which I have the time. It's not about the artist, I don't think. It's about the picture, what the result is. And that's what I look for when I do a piece of that extracted art.
If you have an idea for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.